Ramakatha Rasavahini, Prema Sudhamritavahini, Sathya Sanatani Dharma Swarupini, Shanti Pradayini Mokshakarini, Ramakatha Rasavahini, Ramakatha Rasavahini.
Sai Ram, everyone. Just to recollect where we are in chapter 2 of Ramakatha Rasavahini. Swami is talking about the lineage of Sri Rama. Last week we studied about the birth of Dasharatha. As Dasharatha was growing up, King Dasharatha was growing up, one day the parents, King Aja and Queen Indumati, had gone to the forest to appreciate the beauty of nature, and while they were there, Queen Indumati passed away. That's what we discussed, and I think we will read it once more, and then we'll continue from there. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Narada heard the wail of the king, his sobs and groans, as he wept over the corpse of his beloved. He came down to console his agony. Raja, he said, sorrow is of no avail when death strikes. The body is prone to birth and death. What brings about birth brings about death too. To seek to know why they happen is an exercise in insanity. The acts of God are beyond the cause and effect chain. Ordinary intellects cannot unravel them. They can at best guess the reason. As far as their faculties can reach, how can the intellect grasp something out of its domain? Death is inevitable for each embodied being. However, since the death of Indumati is resonant with strangeness, I have to tell you its reason. Narada said. He drew Aja near and said, listen, in former days, the sage Trinabindu was engaged in extreme asceticism, and Indra resolved to test his attainments and the depth of his equanimity. He dispatched a divine enchantress named Harini to attract him into the world of sensualism. But the sage was immune to her wiles and remained unaffected. He opened his eyes and said, you do not seem to be an ordinary woman. You are perhaps a godly damsel. Well, whoever you are, you must suffer the penalty for resolving to execute a foul deed, a nefarious plan. Be born as a human being, fallen from heaven. Learn what it is to be a mortal human. Cursing her thus, the sage closed his eyes and plunged into meditation again. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Uncle. So we had read and studied and discussed this slide, the contents of this slide last week. If anyone would like to discuss any of the points, please do so. If not, we will continue from the next slide. Okay, then we'll proceed.
Harini shook with fear and shed profuse tears of repentance. She prayed for pardon and for cancellation of her exile from heaven. She pleaded pathetically for the removal of the curse. At this, The sage melted a little and said, "O weak one, it is not possible for me to retake my words, but I shall indicate an occasion when you will be released. Listen, the moment a flower from heaven drops on your head, your human frame will fall and you can return to heaven. Indumati is that divine damsel, and she has found her release this day. When a flower I wore fell on her, she rid herself of the curse. Why grieve over this? It is of no avail. Narada spoke of the duties of a monarch and his responsibility and the example he must set before all. He spoke of all the evanescent nature of life and the mystery of death, the ultimate fate of all beings that are born. After this, Narada wended his way across the sky. Unable to save his beloved, Aja performed the obsequies and reached the capital city. He was heavy with grief. Only Prince Dasharatha could give him some consolation and renew his will to live. He spent his days in morose dreariness. Since Dasharatha was now a full grown youth, Aja made over the kingdom to him and sat on the bank of the Sarai river, bent on fulfilling the vow of non acceptance of food, anasana, anasana, denying herself the sustenance to continue. He caused his life to ebb away. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much. Auntie, shall we read Telugu?
Yeah. Sai Ram. అంత హరిణి దిగులొంది కన్నీరు కార్చుచు చేతులు జోడించుకొని అతి దీన అయి తన తప్పును క్షమించుమని ప్రార్థించుచు స్వర్గభ్రష్టరాలిని గావింపక అనుగ్రహించు మని పరిపరి విధముల వేడుకొనెను. Quite a long sentence.
Yes. Then Harini was so scared by that, and she shed tears, and she folded her hands, and in a weak manner, she recognized her mistake, and she asked for it to be forgiven. She prayed for that to be forgiven, and that she should be the curse of being away from this heaven should be removed, and asked for the grace again and again in many different ways. She asked the Rishi.
అంత ఋషి అబల నా వచనములు తిరిగి తీసుకొనుటకు వీలు కాదు.
So the Rishi said for that, "Oh weak one, it's not possible for me to take back my words."
నీ తలపై ఎప్పుడు స్వర్గలోక పుష్పము వచ్చి పడునో అప్పుడు నీవు మానవ దేహమును వీడి స్వస్థానమును చేరగలవు అని తెలిపెను.
He said that whenever a flower from the heavens come and fall on you, then you will be able to give up the human form, and you will be able to come back to your original state.
ఆనాటి దేవకన్యయే ఈనాటి ఇందుమతి దేవి.
That heavenly damsel is the one who is Indumati today.
ఈనాడు నా శిరమందలి స్వర్గలోక పుష్పము గాలికి వ్రాలగానే ఆమె శాపము విమోచనమైనది.
Today, the flower from my hair, when it was brought by the wind and it touched her, her curse was removed. She was freed from the curse.
ఇందుకు నీవు విచారించి ప్రయోజనము లేదు అని రాజనీతులు దేహనీతులు బోధించి నారదుడు తన మార్గమున తాను అనుసరించెను.
So he told the king, Sage Narada told the king that there's no use in his sorrowing, and he said that he taught him the rules of a king, the rules the king has to follow, and the morality of the body also, or I think the Nitilu means auntie, it can be what morals, moral,
దేహ
the laws which body and has to follow, and also the kingly rules. He taught him, and then he continued on his own path.
అజమహారాజు చేయునది లేక కాయమునకు అంత్యక్రియ నడచి రాజ్యము చేరి కాలము అతి భారముగా గడుపుచు.
So Aja Maharaja, King Aja, he realized that there's nothing for him to do, and he basically did the funeral rites, final rites, and then he went back to the kingdom, and he passed on his time with a burdened, in a state of as if he's carrying a lot of burden.
దశరథుని చూచుకొని కొంత ధైర్యముచే జీవితమును సాగించుచు.
By looking at Dasharatha, he was able to he gained a bit of strength or courage, and he whiled away his time, his life.
దశరథుడు కొంత పెద్దవాడగుటచే రాజ్యభారమును అతనికి అప్పచెప్పి.
When Dasharatha became grown up, he passed on the burden of the kingdom on him. He passed it on to him.
సరయూ తీరమున అనశన వ్రతమును ఒక వ్రతమును జరుపుచు.
So he reached the river Sarayu, and he took up a vow of not eating.
తిరిగి భవనమునకు చేరక సరయూ తీరముననే కాయము వీడెను.
He did not return to his home, and he remained at the Sarayu banks of the Sarayu river, and he gave up his body.
Yeah.
So we'll stop here.
I think it's
yes, auntie.
He caused his life to ebb away. Okay.
Yeah, so that's
it.
Sai Ram, everyone. So we saw how King Aja dealt with the turn of events and the loss of his wife. I will stop here. If anyone would like to point out any aspect which Swami has spoken, also what Sage Narada has mentioned, we can discuss. Sai Ram.
I think the last part where Swami talks about how King Aja goes and gives up his body. It's such a different experience compared to all the past kings. You can see that he was although that he realized that there's nothing more for him to do after Narada had spoken to him. I think it had still affected him, because I think he only gained courage based off of the way Dasharatha was, and so he gave up his life in still not, it seems like it's not in a I'm gonna say dharmic, but it just based off of all the other previous kings, but that's how it comes off in this.
Yes, thank you, Sai Ram. Anyone else would like to comment or discuss any other parts?
Uncle, I have a question.
Yes, Robert.
So, last two slides, my question is this. I'll try to frame it the best I can. So, the human beings have the Dashindriyas, 5 mental senses and the 5 physical senses. But looking at this, why should we go through the first 3 stages of life if it is this useless that we have to end up in sannyas, or in this case an asana where all the kings are headed there? It clearly shows that indulging in all these dashendriyas or the 10 senses actually contributes to nothing because you have to end up there anyway. So why bother with the first 3 stages of life then?
Sai Ram, Rohit, I cannot hear you. Please make your voice little louder.
I think he is practicing Anashana, auntie. Rohit, actually, you should come to the session after having a nice meal.
Yeah, he
Can
must.
you speak up?
Your voice was not heard properly. I mean, I did not
So
hear.
maybe I will repeat, Rohit. Shall I? And you can
Yes, Uncle.
confirm.
Yes.
So what Rohit is saying, why should we go through all these, the 3 ashramas, basically brahmacharya, grihastha, and etc., when it's all so futile? And this person gave up his life not eating. Why should we go through these is the question. I think some vairagya is showing up for Rohit. So he's asking why should we go through? Is the question. Is anyone who would like to answer?
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
These ashrama dharmas are strictly prescribed by the scriptures. To reach that sannyasa stage, we have to go through these things. Only then, we realize what is this life, how we go through challenges. It's very important for a person to go through these 3 stages: brahmacharya, grihastha, and vanaprastha, so that we are ready, and we are ready for taking up sannyasa. Once and for all, you cannot jump from your as soon as you're born to be a sannyasi. No. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Yes, Sister Vani, please go ahead.
Sai Ram, brother. So in going back to Brother Rohit's question, I was thinking, everyone has Atma Dharma and Paradharma. So everybody has to undertake the Dharma of their Paradharma for the body and go through the stages to get rid of the karma that they brought. And only then, by getting through the karma, that they will be able to realize and become more mature to get to that sannyasi stage, as Auntie Mani said. So that's my thought.
Okay, thank you very much, sister. Anyone else would like to comment? Yes, Ron or Bina.
Sai Ram, just further on the observations about the last chapter of Aja's life, and just looking how it differs from the previous generations in another way, and that is, with all the previous generations, Vanaprastha was taken after the next prince, Yuvaraj, seemed to be very capable, was highly esteemed, and they got the prince married, and then there was the declaration of becoming king, or crowned as king. In this case, I don't want to sound flippant, but it was almost like I just saying, okay, my son's of age, I'm out of here, the kingdom's yours. So it just seems to be a somewhat different approach. Of course, his state of mind is also very different, but that's just all I wanted to say, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Ron. Yes, Shankarana.
Yeah, while we agree that people have to go through various stages of his life, but there are some exceptions when acharyas like Shankaracharya or something, they do not go into the cycle. So those may be an exceptions.
Okay. Is it a statement or question now?
Question.
Okay, Sai Ram. Anyone else would like to comment?
There are exceptions, like Shankaracharya, who became sannyas at the age of 8. But most of us, generally, people have to go through these 3 stages. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Anyone I guess no one is volunteering. So maybe I will comment on, just to add on to what Sister Vani said and what Auntie has already stated. We are all born because of vasanas, desires. And depending on the vasanas, we may be capable of taking sannyasa, like the exceptions. Generally, those who take up sannyasa without going into grihastha have reached a certain level of vairagya even in their previous lifetimes. So when they come into this life, maybe a little bit of effort is needed for them to just take up sannyasa, and because the vasanas are generally they are cleansed of the vasanas, and some people may even encounter some experience in their young age that also can push them towards. So in their cases, even at a mental level, they would have enjoyed the grihastha. But the vairagya was, I think they were almost close to achieving vairagya that they would have. So that is the reality. So then they are people from young age, generally after brahmacharya, they go directly to sannyasa. I think, Rohit, you mentioned the 3 ashramas. Unfortunately, today, no one even goes through the first ashrama properly. Because brahmacharya is learning about Brahman, not necessarily going to school and getting degrees and going and working. That does not qualify as even brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means you're studying about the path to reach the Brahman, which most children do not even get exposed to. And I think that's one of the reasons Swami has instituted Balavikas, and he wants children to start learning about it. These are problems which India faced because of the foreign invasions. That tradition is lost. So ideally, at the end of that brahmacharya, the guru and the shishya will decide what would be the ideal next step for that student. But gurus also will have some input in what the disciple does, and they may be able to even convince the parents. So this is what used to happen. But today, such gurus are also not there. Very few and far between. In some of the ashrams, I think they still exist. So the first of all, everyone should go through brahmacharya studies. At the end of it, they will be able to evaluate their own vasanas. And if the vasanas exist, to attain vairagya, you have to go through grihastha and face many challenges in life. And through that process and by further study, while being in the grihastha, that person becomes a capable candidate for sannyasa. And even that also may not be there. That is why the vanaprastha has been instituted as an intermediary step for further preparation. Giving up the grihastha duties, somebody prepares again further, and then when they are ready, then they take up sannyasa. So the ideal goal is to get sannyasa, but not everyone may be ready for even taking sannyasa after grihastha or after vanaprastha. So this is the reality. For example, examples for everything exist. Like if you take the Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they went to vanaprastha, but they did not take up sannyasa and they died. So they did not even progress from that into sannyasa. So, but at least hopefully everyone cultivates the necessary level of vairagya, that when they are taking the next birth, they are better prepared to take sannyasa directly from brahmacharya state. So this is my understanding. So I hope that answers your question. So the thing is, if someone follows the exact ashramas as prescribed by the Vedas, then the chances are a person can, throughout their life, as they grow old, get to the point of sannyasa. If only we follow them strictly. But most of us do not. We are struggling to, do something right. Even proper grihastha itself is a challenge. So that's what I would say. I will stop here. Sai Ram. Rohit, I don't know, you had to say whether you found something of useful.
Yes, uncle, that was what I was looking for. Thank you.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Anyone else would like to say anything?
Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Yes, uncle.
Something in common for Dasharatha, his father was in shock, and for Dasharatha also, in his life, he also had a shock when his Rama left.
Very nice, because very nice, because there are, they say there are 3 Ishanas: Dhareshana, Dhaneshana, and Putreshana. These are 3 types of desires or attachments which become stumbling blocks in the path of spirituality. So Aja suffered quite a bit from Dhareshana. His wife's separation he could not bear at all. He didn't even care much about his son. He didn't even think about getting Dasharatha settled in life. He was not interested even in going to Vanaprastha. So he was suffering so much from Dhareshana, the attachment to wife. Dasharatha, on the other hand, suffered from Putreshana, attachment to Sri Rama. Even though Rama was divine and avatar, the relationship Dasharatha had was as a son. And so because of that, he too suffered and died. Very good observation, Uncle. Sai Ram. I think everyone has...
I have a question. I don't know if this is of value, but I'm just going to ask the question because it came to my mind anyways. So is there any inner significance as to like the simplicity of like the curse of a flower falling on Indumati? Is there any significance there of a flower like falling?
Very good question. Very good question. I think Ron and Bina have raised their hands, so I will let them.
It's okay. Let Saishan.
He asked the
go
question.
first. Yeah. So
He's the
sorry,
question.
this is not in response to his question, so I'll just wait till it's discussed, and then I'll.
No, you can. Okay.
Or if you want me to.
Yeah, why
I
not?
don't want people to lose Saishan's question. It's a good one.
No,
one made observation because it's has to do with the first paragraph here about the curse, and it's our observations are it's not just in this particular story, but in virtually every story throughout all the itihasas and puranas and so on, is that once a curse is given, it cannot be taken back. It sometimes can be modified according to conditions, but it can never be taken back. So to me, there's always a caution to watch our words, because even though we're not always cursing people or blessing people, our words, once they come out of our lips, right, they do whatever positive or negative those words do. That's all, Sai Ram.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. Just to add to what you said, it's not only the harm to others, the words have a boomerang effect too. That it comes back to haunt us too. So I will just leave it at that. So Saishan's question, anyone who can say why, how can the curse be removed by, some flower falling on somebody's? Any significance to that is what. Why did the sage give that as the saving grace from the curse?
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
The event of that falling of the flower indicates that it was her curse is ended, and it is the invitation for her to come back to the Swargaloka. I feel that that's the way significance. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Anyone else would like to comment?
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
What my understanding is, each curse has got a vimochana, a process by which the curse can be liberated. So, in Indumati's case, the flower falling is a process by which she will be liberated, like Ahalya had a vimochanam by Rama stepping on the stone. So like that, there are processes by which liberation happens to people who get the curse. That's what my understanding is.
Thank you very much, Anna. Yes, Sister Vani.
I don't have an answer for Brother Saikyan's question, but I was just assembling that with falling of flowers from Swami's picture and all that when we take it as a blessing. So it's just remembering that and comparing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sister. So, okay, no one else is giving. The suggestion, even our own, I think, I don't know whether everyone remembers, when we started long time ago, Rama, the name Rama liberates us from 3 types of causes for a birth. I don't know whether anyone remembers. Papa, Tapa, Shapa. Curse, or that is Shapa. Papa is sins, and Tapa is desire. These 3 things cause. So if these things cause us life, unless that problem is solved, we will have to live as human beings. So in this case, in the case of Indumati, she was already in the heaven. So she had certain divine qualities. But what happened to her was, she behaved like a human being with that rishi. So that means her vasanas became very human being. So when Narada's head flower is falling means some good vasanas she was impacted with. So the flower has smell, sugandha. That signifies good vasanas. When you are exposed to divine vasanas, you will go back to your natural state. So which actually applies to us also. That's why Swami says, cultivate human qualities, don't be animals. Then help make divine qualities, cultivate them. Through that, we also liberate ourselves from where we are. The flower thing is just a significant. We may think, oh, it happened on a spot. But what could have happened to Indumati is, as soon as that she smelt that flower, her original vasanas just blossomed. At that point in time, she just left the body. So she was already ready to go back, because she was a divine woman. So she already had plenty of good vasanas. Only that recollection has to happen only with that contact. Same thing with Ahalya also. She was a Rishi Patni, so I'm sure she would have done so much sadhana. But she gave rise to some human failing. And that from that human failing, again a divine touch. And that as soon as that touch comes, the original state of that person's good quality will blossom. And the person will be again the same. This has not only happened to these people, even great rishis, who fell from grace. At some point they realize, oh, I am wasting my time, and go away. And even someone like Buddha, Lord Buddha, that's what happened to him. At some point he said, naturally he became Vairagya, because already it has been cultivated over many lifetimes. That's what the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, you make small progresses towards this over many lifetimes, thousands of lifetimes. So ultimately it's vasanas. In the case of Indumati, she was already ripe, but she had just fallen a little. It was easy for her to get back to that state. She did not have to go to Anashana and all that. She didn't have to fast. Right away she remembered who she was, and she was gone.
So is it that she had these good vasanas in her, and the moment?
Of course.
So is it that the flower which Narada wore was developed good vasanas through his chanting of God's name? Is that what it is?
It's like this, sometimes suddenly you remember the vibhuti smell of Swami, right away you are transported back to whatever experience you had.
So liberation can be attained with
So the
through
flower,
penance.
the smell of the flower, she realized, oh, that smell I remember.
I see.
As soon as you remember that smell, you remember everything about yourself.
So
As
the
soon as
moment that you get connected with divinity, you're just immediate liberation.
Yes. So she remembered the smell of the flower.
I see.
Okay, remembered that vasana, remembered her life as a Devakanya. Right away, the human body drops.
Wow.
Swarga Pushpam.
Swarga Pushpa. It's not any flower. It's not, we put on Swami's photo, it's a worldly flower falling, Then again, we are falling into the world. Lot of problems. They will say, oh, I'm going to get what I was wishing for, which we have already worked toward something worldly. That's what happens, Swami's photo flowers. Yes, Brother Shankar. Shankarana. Oh, he pushed. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Sai Ram, brother. So something interesting, I thought it to remind us again. The curse by somebody, the rishis, they cannot take back those words. In our life also same thing. We have to watch out for our words what we are throwing. We cannot take it back. Right? So that kind of message it's giving us, right? So I reminded, this is a very good thing, how rishis cannot take it back. Like it's giving a message for us also that we cannot take back any of the words. So we have to be very careful what we are saying. And the other thing, brother, the vasanas, like how the flowers fell on Indumati and she realized it. So is the significant that we are using those flowers for our rituals also to bring up the good vasanas or good things? That is the reason we are using the flowers for all the occasion rituals and all. Is something we can connect like that too?
Okay, thank you for the question, sister. A little bit out of syllabus, but anyway, we'll discuss it. But yes, Shankarana.
Yeah, what I was thinking is the person who curses the other person prescribes the way they need to be liberated by certain actions. I think that is what happens. Then only the liberation will happen. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes,
Sai Ram,
yes, son. Uncle, please go ahead.
just a note. Ahalya had a curse and it became a stone. Rama's touch liberated her.
Yes. She was also a heavenly woman. So that means they were endowed with lots of heavenly qualities. There's just one small mistake and they had to erase it permanently. So they had to go through some suffering. Going back to Sister Aruna's question, why do we pray with flowers? Is a question. Anyone would like to say? Yes, Sister Vani.
I don't have a straight answer for Sister Aruna, but I am reminded of the Ashtapushpa. Swami refers to that. Those are the flowers that he needs and not those physical flowers.
Thank you, sister. Yeah, so no one is answering. See, sister, in the Gita, Sri Krishna tells how we have to worship. Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. With these 3-4 things, we can worship the Lord. Which is Patram is leaf, Pushpam is flower, Phalam is fruit, and Toyam is water. These are 4 ways we can worship. But Swami has given his own interpretation to each of these. Swami says Patram is our body, Pushpam is our Hridaya Pushpam, the flower of our heart. Palam is the mind, the fruition, the maturity of our mind. Manopala. And Toyam is, Swami will say, our tears of joy. These have to offer. But the thing is, externally, whatever we use should remind us what we have to really offer. They only symbolize something which we have to offer to the Lord. So Hridaya Pushpam is what we have to offer to the Lord. And the Hridaya Pushpam, as Sister Vani said, Swami has further classified that into the Ashta Pushpam. The qualities which should be filled in our heart, which is nothing but good vasanas again. Good vasanas in our heart is what we offer, and the external physical flower symbolizes and reminds us that we have to cultivate that within us. So in this case also, Indumati was reminded of all the vasanas, the spiritual vasanas she had through her association in the heaven among the devas. So it was easy for her to get back to that state. So ultimately what it means is we have to cultivate divine qualities for us to liberate from anything, whether it's sin, whether it's curse, or whether it's even desires. It's my understanding.
Yes,
I hope
yes.
that answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I think if everyone is okay and there is nothing further to discuss, we can move further.
Sai Ram,
Sai Ram aunty.
Anashana Vratam, I think we should little bit explain that, how the Vratam of fasting, Anashana Vratam is fasting.
Not taking food.
Yeah, and yeah, that is, I think there are many types of Vratams where, you know, that Chandramas, what is it? As the moon goes on waxing and waning, they take a vow not to eat from the first day till that Paurnami, and then they go on reducing it till the Amavasya. That is Chandramana. No, something else.
Yeah, I'm also not getting it.
It is it is some kind of Vratam they use.
Yes, Ron and Beena.
Yes, auntie, it is called Chandrayan Vrata.
Chandrayana Vrata, correct. Thank you,
Beena. Beena, are you practicing Chandrayana Vrata?
Yeah, it is greatly. There is a story of a Chandrayan Vrata in Srimad Bhagavatam. When we go through Srimad Bhagavat, when we recite that time, but there is a beautiful story in the Bhagavatam about the Chandrayan Vrata. So I'm not going to mention here because it will be totally out of the path. But yes, it's a beautiful story in Bhagavat. Sai Ram.
Okay, Sai Ram. Thank you, Beena. So anyone who is interested in practicing Chandrayana Vrata, that is not Anashana. Anashana is not taking food until you die.
Yeah.
I think many people take that vow even today for different reasons, I understand. Unnavradam in Tamil, they will say, you know, which is the same thing as Anashana. Yes, Rono Beena.
Yeah, nowadays it is for a political reason more, Sai Ram. On a lighter note.
Yes, Sai Ram. So the thing is, there are certain in the Shastras also, some of these processes are prescribed. Rather than taking one's life and one shot, they pray. Actually, in this case, I don't know what King Aja would have prayed for. But generally, that's also prescribed in the Shastras as a proper way of giving up the body. And generally, you know, because I think in his case, he would say his wife has passed away, then he should also proceed with her to Chandraloka or whatever. I think that may have been a desire. So they do not want to wait. They would rather immediately accompany the partner. So I think Aja, to some extent, he wanted to discharge. He did not. There was some dharmic qualities in King Aja because He did not want to just leave immediately. He realized that he was a king, he had to take care of it, and he had to properly pass it on. And he did all that, and with the earliest possible time, he decided, now it's time for me to go. And I think to that extent, he was following certain dharmic. Even the earlier on, Swami has said, Aja never disobeyed the words of his parents, whatever he learned. So to that extent, I think he was duty conscious, and that comes through also. So I will leave that. I mean, I don't know. No one wants to practice anashana here, I hope. So I will not go into detail. But yeah, in Vanaprastha, as Auntie said, Chandrayana, as the moon wanes, you reduce the food, the moon, waxes, so you increase the intake, things like that people do to be to keep up with the rhythm of the moon's waxing and waning and waxing. So that is something which many people practice. That way, that's one way of overcoming the mind, getting mind under control. So that is something which most sadhanas prescribe, not only in our religion, in other religions as well.
Ekadashi Vratam also comes under this Anashana Vratam. Of course, they fast only for a day, not for life.
So there are many, the Somavara Vratam also some people practice, once a week. So there are many ways of controlling the mind. Learning not to consume through the senses. I understand.
Next.
Okay, then we will proceed.
Yeah.
As soon as Dasaratha heard the news, he hastened quickly to the Sarayu bank and bewailed the loss of his dear father. He arranged for the funeral without delay and felt some relief that his father had given up life through a ritualistic vow. He drew some strength from this fact and resumed his duties as the ruler with full mastery of all his varied faculties. Within a short time, the fame of Dasharatha illumined all quarters like the rays of the rising sun. He had the intrepidity and skill of 10 charioteers rolled into one, and so the name Dasharatha, the 10-chariot hero, was found appropriate. No one could stand up against the onrush of his mighty chariot. Every contemporary ruler, mortally afraid of his prowess, paid homage to his throne. The world extolled him as a hero without equal, a paragon of virtue, a statesman of highest stature. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much. Auntie will read the Telugu.
Yeah. Sai Ram. ఈ విషయము దశరథునకు తెలియగనే అతివేగముగా సరియూ తీరము చేరి తండ్రి కళేబరము చూచి దుఃఖించి.
So as soon as King Dasharatha heard this news, he rushed to the banks of Sarayu river and he looked at the
dead body. Kalebaramuna dead body.
Yeah, the dead body of the father, and he sorrowed.
కాయమునకు తగిన దహన కార్యములను అతి త్వరగా గావించి.
So he performed the final rites and the cremation of the father's body right away without delay.
తన తండ్రి వ్రతనిష్ఠుడై గతించెనను పవిత్ర భావమును స్మరించి.
And remembering that the father left his body using a properly prescribed vrata vow, and he understood the sacredness of what he had done.
ధైర్యముతో తన కర్తవ్యములను తాను పూర్తిగా వశమందుంచుకొని పాలన సాగించుచుండెను.
So with great courage, he performed his duties, and he had everything under his control and performed he ruled the kingdom.
ఇట్లు కొంతకాలములోనే దశరథుని కీర్తి సూర్య కిరణముల వలె వ్యాపించెను.
Within a short while, the fame of Dasharatha spread like the rays of the sun.
దశరథ కుల బలము తన ఒక్కనికే కలిగి ఉండుట చేత అతనికి దశరథుడు అని పేరు కూడాను సార్థకమాయను.
Because he had the strength of 10 chariots, and he alone had it as one person, single person. Due to that, the name Dasharatha became meaningful in his case.
తన రథమునకు ఎదురు లేదు.
For his chariot, no one could stand in front of it, opposite.
సమస్త రాజులు దశరథునికి భయపడి వశమగుచుండరి.
All the kings became fearful of him and were under his control.
దశరథుడన్న అంతకు మించిన గుణవంతుడు, బలవంతుడు, శక్తియుక్తులు కల మహారాజు మరొకడు లేడు అని ప్రపంచ వ్యాప్తి అయ్యాను.
There is no one who is greater in qualities or strength or power than Dasharatha, King Dasharatha, and that fame spread to the entire world.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Auntie.
So, no problem.
Sai Ram, so we could discuss how King Dasharatha dealt with the information that his father passed away and so on. And so I will stop here. If anyone would like to discuss any of the points Swami has spoken about Dasharatha.
Dasharatha balamu, Swami says.
Yes.
The strength of 10 chariots, is it?
Yes. Collective. Yes, collectively 10 chariots strength he had.
Strength he had. Tanakokkanike. 21.
Kula, I think, is a collection or assembly.
We can say.
Yes, Sister Vani, please go ahead.
Sai Ram, brother. So, when we talk, I don't know whether it's the right time to talk about that, but, Dasharatha, the meaning is the 10 indriyas, the jnanendriyas and the karmendriyas. And, is that what is being referred here as 10 chariots, brother?
Yes, thank you very much, Sister. Yes, so Sister has asked a question. Is what Swami stated in this Ramakatha Rasavahini the same as the 10 senses that Swami has mentioned as the chariots, and our body is the Dasharatha? I think that's the question Sister Vani is asking. Anyone who would like to comment on it? Yes, Sister Aruna.
Brother, what is really meant on this, the first paragraph where the son is saying why he drew some strength from this fact? What is this strength he is getting out of it? I'm trying to understand. Is that the way Swami has said? It's a ritualistic vow he has taken and he's gaining some strength out of it. What is? I'm trying to understand what is that.
Okay, Sister.
Thank you, Sai Ram.
To discuss that, I will open it up so there are two questions. One is the name Dasharatha and its significance. The second one is Sister Aruna's question. What gave some strength, courage to? Dhairya is the word Swami has used, I think.
Yeah.
In the Telugu version. So what is that strength which he gained? And so that's also something which you would like to discuss. I will open it up for anyone to share your views. Okay. Auntie, you would like to say anything about the Dasharatha Kula at least?
Yeah. And the Dasharatha Kula, 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action. Those are 10 indriyas. They are just pulling us away from, in many, many directions it takes us. So it is harnessing all these 10 indriyas and making a righteous, or taking a righteous path is very difficult. So Dasharatha had that capacity to control all the indriyas, and everything was under his control. That is one Swami has already given the explanation. And here, death can come to any person in many ways. Some die out of disease, some die out of mental grief. Many ways of meeting the death. But here, this death which has taken place to Aja was something. He has died in a ritualistic way, taking a vow, and then he has left his body. That's a kind of holy, auspicious type of death which he had faced. So, and then Dasharatha drew strength because my father has not died of any common disease. It's a holy death which he has faced. So he must have drawn some strength from this fact. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Anyone else would like to comment? Okay, everyone is taking time. I think the Ratha runs fast. So, I will speak to, I think it's for Sister Vani's question. Sister Vani, the word Ratha has multiple meanings. One of the meaning is chariot. But it also means, Ratha also can be enjoyment or desire also it means. So the thing is, another meaning of Ratha is also limb is also a meaning of Ratha. So Swami very, as normally he is, he has packed a lot in that sentence in Telugu. Swami said, Dasha Ratha Kula Balam. The strength of the 10 Rathas. That's what Swami is. Collective of the 10 Rathas is what Swami has said. See, because people will ask, how can somebody drive 10 chariots? I think that's the question many people ask. So actually, the meaning is much more applicable to his 10 senses. Each of his 10 senses were very, very strong, and he had very good hold over them, and he had certain strength also in the senses. And if we take the karmendriyas, so it can also mean every part of physically also he was very, very powerful. And that's why Swami says no one could stand in front of his chariot. So that means physically also he was strength, and he had total control of his senses. So I think physical prowess was excellent. And in addition to that, Swami is also talking about his qualities. Swami says he's a gunavanta also. He was virtues. He had lots of virtues. So both this also gives strength to the senses, because without virtues, the senses get drained of their energy, power also. So Dasharatha was someone who was able to conserve the energy of the energy which can potentially be wasted through the senses, and because of that, he was also master of all the senses. I think that's what Swami is showing. Only because of that, no one could, fight with him. Everyone was scared of him because he had total control over every sense which he had. I think that's the better meaning. So it is what Swami said in the Telugu is not different from the 10 senses thing. But in the English translation, they have put the word chariots. That's what I would say. I will stop there.
Thank you, brother.
Okay. And Sister Aruna, your question, no one else has answered, so I will again try. See, the thing is, I think Dasharatha was a bit upset with the father, the way he gave up his body. Because he realized that his father was pining for his wife, and that's how he died. So if a person, thinking of only the wife and, dies immediately, he takes his life away, it's a very sad thing for anyone, even at a human level. As a king, he could have done a little better, I think that's what's said. But he felt, even though he did that, he followed a particular ritual which was prescribed in the scriptures. So he, even if you want to give up your life, you took the pain of going through proper rituals. And so that means it's not as bad as, it could be. And I think
Brother, but his attachment, right? Then how can it's a ritualistic vow then? Because his attachment, right? And he didn't bother about others. I'm asking. So how that is become like a sacred thing to form?
See, this happens to everyone, sister.
Okay.
People who are bad, we will think we know that person does some good thing, some charity, or he went to the temple every day. So people take, okay, at least he's in touch with God. Okay, they may not be thinking of God all the time. At least twice a day they prayed, which is a good thing. We take some consolation even among people who are dear to us. They are not totally bad. They are doing something and they're keeping in touch with God. So you will feel happy. You will console yourself. Everything is not bad. At least they are doing something good. They're connected to Swami. So it gives you certain peace of mind. That is what Dasharatha also did about his father, is what I understand. Because none of the others worried about the parents going to the Vanaprastha. They never worried, they never cried. But in this case, Dasharatha was, he would have liked his father also to maybe take up Vanaprastha, go to sannyasa. But he was at least taking consolation from the fact that he performed a little vrata and then passed away. I think so. He's taking.
What way you are thinking as a ritualistic way, brother? Because of he's going into one place and
So the vrata has certain rules, sister. Morning
okay,
you
he
get up.
followed two.
Yes, exactly.
That is a different than the Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. It's something different, right? He's doing it. So
Yeah.
that is
It's like the 6-day vratam for Kandashashti people do. Whole day they will not eat.
okay,
They will
okay.
pray. They
So
will
he
chant.
has given up his food and
Yes, but
okay.
Fasting was the one of the vratam.
Yeah, Vrata. Okay.
vrata means some prayer would have been associated with it, sister. Like
Yeah.
people will chant Kandashashti Kavacham or something. So he
Okay.
must have done some sadhana as part of that.
So that ritualistic. So he's gaining the strength. What strength? Because okay. Yes.
Otherwise he'll be so dejected. My father, what has happened to him? You will feel, where will he go? Will he go to heaven or hell? He'll going to suffer. All that, worry will be there.
So
Everyone
he's
worries.
taking positively.
No, he will take some consolation. He has
Okay.
to console himself. My father is, at least he has done something good. So not everything is lost. It's very common in our own family, if somebody, we feel, they are messing up their life, we have to console ourselves. Oh, there's at least is one thing they are doing. So we are in touch with God. So somehow they will save themselves at some point. That kind of strength he took.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Sai Ram.
Can you say that instead of taking his life right away, maybe he took this vratam through which he suffered little bit every day because he gave up his eating food, all those things. So he might have suffered internally by sacrificing those items, right? So Is that what the Saradama be thinking?
Okay, brother, thank you.
Brother, is Swami also saying it's a ritualistic vow?
Swami says use vrata. Swami has used the word vrata.
Okay, thank you.
A vow, a religious vow. Yeah, I think we can put it that way.
Sorry, Uncle.
Yes.
So in Dashratha's case, so someone who had such control over the Indriyas, who had such qualities and strength, with any trace of attachment, there's that karmic consequence of grief that he feels. So regardless of what, I guess, control you have over these Indriyas, you're bound to go through that. So for us, it's even harder as we're working to even come to those, like to control over Indriyas is like so minimal. So at his, I guess, stage, to have such a large impact or consequence, how can we, I guess, work through that in our day-to-day lives, going through the same thing?
So I will open it up for everyone, Saishan.
Sure.
I think Sister Shilpa raised her hand, but she...
Sai Ram, I want to answer Sister Aruna's question.
Yes, please, sister.
In olden days, Rishi Muni used to follow this path, staying in meditation, not to eat or drink anything, and go into deep sadhana and merge into Bhagavanji. Same way, I think Ajay has done. Like here it is clearly shows that he did not have food or anything, and he waited for merging. I don't think anything was wrong in that, and it was the purest way. Like some Rishi Muni does on Gangaji this kind of things, like chanting Shivji's name and wait until they merge into Bhagavan Shiv. And this is why his son thinks that his father has gone with the name of Bhagavan. So he consoles himself that it was the right way to do. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. So, we are back to Saishan's question. What do we do? Even if such kings who had total, who was so great, with a lot of sense control and very power, they had...
So like I think I understand that regardless of how much control you may have, that like constant like awareness needs to be consistent. Like the self-awareness needs to be consistent in order to continue to have the controls over the indriyas and be in that state of mind. And I understand that having any trace of attachment does take you away from that. But how do you, I guess, get back to that point? And I can recognize that it's even more difficult for us.
I think the first thing, Saishan, is to know where we are.
Right.
I think that's itself a big thing. To know where we are and what we have to work towards. I think that's a big thing. And I think what Swami has given so many ways of getting to that point. Every discourse of Swami, every writing of Swami, he's telling us something. If we can practice one or two things, I think we'll make some progress. And Ramakatha Rasavahini is full of such opportunities to evaluate where we are, what we are suffering from, what will become our lot, how can we better our lives and our journey. I think that's what the whole purpose of this study itself is. Because Ramayana is the journey to Rama. It's not only journey of Rama, it's also journey to Rama. So I think many devotees reached Rama and became greatest devotees. And we will have enough of their, we'll have so many examples whom we can follow. And Swami will dwell on this throughout the Ramakatha Rasavahini, and we will, each one will have something which we can apply in our own life and progress, is my understanding. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, and I think it also kind of puts into light how, regardless of how close you are to that divinity, like how close he was to Rama, and like that attachment, just it took him so far away from that divinity. Like constantly connecting back to Swami is I guess the way to continue to have those controls and be connected.
Yeah, I think the lesson for all of us is recognize our attachment. Because many times we don't even realize that we have attachment. And we will give some, we'll say duty, we will say love. If we don't do, that is, we have to do, look after, no one else will look after. That's ultimate ignorance. Because we forget that Swami is looking after us. This is the problem. It's like someone who is sitting in the train is carrying the luggage on their head. They think they are carrying the luggage. No, the train is carrying the luggage.
So there is the Dharma there is that Dharma there, like the Naitika Dharma, and that is present, but there should be no attachment.
Exactly. Dharma is whatever the scripture says that you do. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, if the scripture says do this, just do it. But we are very creative. We will say we are doing it out of love. We are doing it out of our sense of duty. This is ultimate ignorance. Okay, because we don't give room for Swami to do anything. We think if we don't do, what will happen? And so that is the problem, and that is the real Maya. And that's not only Maya, we fool ourselves. This is the reality, and I think that will come through very clearly throughout the...
Yeah, I think I'm trying to wrap my head around this idea of, because Dasharatha's he's someone who has so much control over these Indriyas and he has these qualities, but in a discourse, Swami is saying that grief and sorrow is derived from attachment, and so that attachment, he's so attached that he's going through the grief and the sorrow that he doesn't even realize that he's losing control.
Yes. So I think that's an answer to that. But anyway, let me wait for Sister Vani to say something, and then we'll...
Sai Ram, I was thinking along the way, when our senses are not being controlled and it is attracted towards the objective world, that's when this, as Saishan said, the sorrow and the happiness come. So it is where we need to practice Swami saying equanimity, the titiksha, right? That's the word that Swami used. So I just want to mention that.
Thank you very much, sister. See, Swami says we have to practice what's called Shama and Dama. One is sense control, which Dasharatha had in plenty. But mind also has to be controlled. Okay, that mind control is the second step. Without these two, we will not be able to surrender. Okay, even to do surrender to the Lord, we have to practice these two. One is external sense control. Once that is controlled, outside will not trouble us. But inside also we have problems. So mind also has to be controlled. Dasharatha was physically, he was in control of all his senses. Full control. But mind was the one which he had to work on. And that is what made him attached. Attachment is a mental thing. So I think we will come through this. So that is a technical analysis of the problem which Dasharatha ran into. Sense control is one thing, because most people who are successful in this world have total sense control. Okay, so if your senses are under control, in this world, no one can stop your progress. But that alone is not enough for spiritual progress. Mental control is needed. That is cultivation of vairagya. Okay, so that is a separate exercise altogether, which Dasharatha.
So you're referring to Chitta Shuddhi.
Which lacked. Pardon?
Chitta Shuddhi, is that what it is?
Chitta Shuddhi, exactly. Okay, so that's what it is. I think we will dwell on them. It's 10:16. We try to cover a lot. I think we are going into the English Ramakatha Rasavahini. The church chapter will be there next week.
Oh, no progeny.
In Telugu, I think there is still a paragraph, but we will deal with it.
Yeah, it is continuation of the same.
In Telugu, yes.
In Telugu.
Okay.
So Dasharatha expressed this mind which lost its control on two occasions. One is when his father passed away, and the second one is when Sri Rama left for Vanavasa. So these two occasions where Dasharatha completely lost his control over the mind.
I guess will there be a difference that we'll see? Because in this, it seems like he was able to, I guess, come from the grief of.
He was a little bit. You can see the tendency here.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. You can see the tendency, and the tendency again showed up when Vishwamitra came and asked him Rama to come. Also, it showed up. So the tendency was there. Hopefully, if only he listened to Vasishta's advice at that time and improved, then he wouldn't have had to face the final time, So I think we will discuss some of these sides. Okay. We are getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, I guess, sometimes, but it's okay. Interest is good always. Sai Ram. We will close the session with Samasta Loka Priya. Okay, Sai Ram.